Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Batjack JW coming back to you here. And last time we met, we had the radio show 157. It's kind of hard to believe that we've had so many of these over the time. And so, actually, here, those of you that have been keeping up here, that have been checking it out. I also know we have some new subscribers here that may be kind of questioning, what is this format? You're tuned here, right here, to the radio show, and this is majority of what we do here is just chat about some stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and actually look through some of these comments here from Radio 157, and he says, here, first one here is from Lion Quest Fitness, and we actually did the old format, which is a visual on the radio show the last time, and we did this specifically for a couple of you subscribers that have voiced that you missed the format of them. And we have here from Lion Quest Fitness, he says, "This is what I missed. Discussion on classic guns, gun care, firearm accessories, and movie tie-ins. Thank you for giving us a back journey, by the way. I tend to believe the price increases will start heading up for all the steel handguns made from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They don't make them today." That is very true. Like what Lion Quest Fitness here, what he's talking about is, yes, so many things are now just injection molded plastic, and there you go. I mean, just Tupperware kind of stuff, and just throw them in a dishwasher, for say, and have at it. It's also the reason why I think the art of smithing and whatnot is going to kind of fade. I think there will be less and less of it. Also, I believe as time progresses, you're going to see a lot more people that are just able to pop a couple of pins, do some polishing, and there you have a trigger job, and it will be pretty much done for. Here we got Joe P. Good morning, JW. I don't know, the original bag had a red interior. And we're talking about the T series I picked up recently here, and we'll talk about that. Mr. Holster says, "I like using that stuff. If toy, leave it on longer before you clean it off and burnish it. It seems to be darker blue," in which I actually have picked up a heat gun to try some of that what is it? Oxbow bluing. Yes, been trying to see if that works out pretty good, but I was just kind of messing around with it, trying to see how it works. And I've used Birchwood KC stuff in the past, cold bluing some stuff, and it's all right. It works. It wears off fairly quickly. That's the one thing I found with all cold bluing stuff. It looks great for a while, then once you start handling it a lot, it just kind of rubs clean right off. And so I don't know. I carry one. He says, "Can't go wrong with the Browning High Power." That's right. Quit your frowning, grab your Browning. All right. And Scott F., we are getting back on track as good news. Nice chat with coffee. I hear Brownells is better than the Birchwood Casey. Yeah, I've heard that. That's why I purchased it, the Brownells. I've heard the Oxbow bluing and the T4 stuff is really good. I have not picked up the T4 stuff. I got to admit, the stuff is so expensive because by the time you add this little jar of stuff to your cart and pay for shipping, it's ridiculous. I bought this the Oxbow stuff from Amazon Prime. I got it for $16, free shipping. And that was really kind of a heck of a deal, considering you're going to probably pay about $25 for this stuff once you go through Brownells and all that. So, Ghost Riders, he says, "I got the coffee and love the Freddy glove behind you." Yeah, we had to put in Freddy there as October is abound, so we're going to have to do some October-ish things. All right, Evie Saint. "Hey, Saturday morning, Batjack show. Again, outstanding and a high power as well. 5 stars. Thank you there, Evie Saint. Gotta love McHugh." Had a couple of Browning high powers. One I traded away, and an Inglis that someone Miscreant stole. Some miscreant stole. Ah, man. I hate when I hear about thieves. Man. It's such a terrible thing. So, alright. Here we go. And we got one from Mr. Holster. He says, Lon, that gun's not licensed. And the retort would be, Jack, neither am I. If you guys don't know what that is from McHugh. If you haven't seen McHugh, shame on you. Go see it now. Stop this and go watch McHugh with John Wayne. Great movie because he just goes through a number of firearms and it is just absolutely just crazy. Like you see him and he's got like, first he starts off with like a Colt Python 4-inch and then he goes and gets that goes away. And then he goes and get a little snubby Python. Then he gets a Model 10 Smith & Wesson snubby, and then he gets a Browning High Power, and he has the Mac 10. Amazing. I love that movie just for that. But anyway, back on track here as we're talking about the T-Series High Power that I picked up and why I really wanted it. Because it was just, that goes way back for me. That has some history. That goes some time ago that I was really interested in the high power and started to become a little bit more knowledgeable on them and liking them. So I started digging into them and stuff like that. And when I found out, from a buddy of mine that was teaching me about this stuff, the Browning Belgium, one, that's the one that you want, and all the mystique around it and everything. I always just kind of put it off. I never really, I was like, I don't know. But it was always frightening to me because it was like, well, the price. The price was just pretty far out there. I always felt like it was expensive, and if I wanted to get one, I was going to be charged an arm and a leg. And but then again, the old saying goes, you got to jump on a wagon at some point. At some point, if it's something you want, you're going to have to pay the price for it and just get it. And I was also told a pretty good lesson when I was out there looking at it, that this older gentleman, he was there, he says, sometimes if you really want the thing, you're just going to have to pay the price. And yes, he was right. And, I was sitting there kicking myself at the table because I had made 2 offers on it. When it was sitting on the table, I made 2 offers, and this guy actually turned me down. I couldn't believe that a guy would take a fistful of $100 bills and hand them back to you. That was a first for me, for sure. But, I was sitting there, I was just stewing about it, and I was sitting at the table, and what it boiled down to was just $200. Like, was I really going to let $200 separate me? Because I've already gone this far. And I'm like, sometimes you got to feel like, if you've gone as far as you have and you're really only an inch away, are you really going to let that inch separate you from the ultimate goal, which what you wanted? And it was kind of strange because for the last couple of months, it's been more, I guess, more definitely like, hey, we got to get one of these things. Because I've been talking about it with my buddy Dan. We've been talking about high powers for like a couple of months. That's all we've been talking about. We're just going back and forth about it ever since too. What brought it on really was learning about the Tasas high powers that they're making in Turkey that are just copies of them. And what I was saying was like the fact that they're for like $500 and maybe some change, and you're getting a brand new out of the box high power, and all the reviews have been excellent on the fit and finish. So yeah, it may not be an actual Browning, which they don't make anymore, so that's of course driving the prices up on those, but you have now a brand new one for $500 that you can take to the range, and you can play around with the thing, and if it gets a scratch, it's not so bad, so you're not going to go cry. So anyway, so we've been talking about it a lot, and it just kind of goes to show you, like, look at the time, because I remember I used to have a FEG high power Hungarian one, and I paid like $300 for the thing. Now look at those. Those are up to $500-600. That's crazy. I mean, I've seen those at gun shows for $500-600. It's like, how? And then you look at these FN surplus ones that look like they've been dragged behind a truck for half a mile, and those are $500, $470, $480. And then you got to add in, well, of course, the shipping and all that kind of stuff if you're gonna go and purchase it on one of the sites, the surplus sites. So it's kind of, it's like kind of is looking at like, man, these things are just getting pricier and pricier. And, then as of course the story goes, Batjack JW is late to the party, and here I am trying to get one of the prizes, and I'm like the 90th guy through the door, and prizes already been handed out. So here I am late to the show trying to get a ticket, right? And so, I came across it, and like I said, I just, was like, I think I'm going to have to just pay this fellow what he wants for it and pick it up. Like I said, it was kind of strange because my fondest memory of the high power has been when I first laid eyes on it, and it was a friend of mine had it in his collection, and he was, it was for sale for the right price. I never dared ask him for the price, but I remember at the time he told me he turned down like $1,200 for it, and so that always frightened me away from asking. But it was that exact one, a T-Series with the beautiful grips on there, and that rich, deep, rich bluing. It's crazy. And what I mean by that is not so much, I mean, it does have a nice, beautiful, polished, glossy blue that is just unbelievable. But what I'm talking about is the bluing on it is so deep and rich and dark. It's like obsidian black. It's crazy. I've even gotten, in fact, I'm getting ready here to publish this video on the Dash 2 on the main channel. I'm actually about to hit the publish button right now. I'm going to type in the description. But even that one, I mean, yeah, that's got the most gorgeous blue job on it, you could want. But there's a difference when you really look at that T-Series high power, man. That deep, dark color on it. Unbelievable. I catch it a glimpse in my eye sometimes. I have it sitting on the desk, and I'll look over at it, and I'm like, man, that's just amazing, the job that they did on that. And from what I understand too, like, they don't do stuff like that no more because I think the chemicals were fatal or something. They just don't do things as the way they did back then. I guess before all the regulations and OSHA and all these people that got involved to make money off of jobs and whatnot. I mean, ultimately, yeah, they're trying to protect people. So, I mean, too bad they weren't around when Steve McQueen got cancer from all the asbestos and stuff. So here I am writing the description of this. We're just going to call it the Dash 2. And by the way, yes, we're looking at a Smith & Wesson Dash 2, Model 29. Look at the, so here we go. We're going to type in the description here. Let's see. The description is a look at the Smith & Wesson, if I can spell it right, Model 29-2. Yep, that's what it is. Now we got to be tricky on how we do all this because it's a fickle game, as some people say it these days. So we'll see. I don't know if we're going to get away with some of this stuff here. Let's see if this works. Sometimes it'll tell you you can't do this. So, and then we'll have to change some things. So let's see. All right, here we go. Waiting for it to be saved. But anyway, like I said, my fondest memories of that T-Series has been that just that beautiful gun laying there in that zipper bag with the red inside on that. That's what it was. I always remembered that. And once I saw that laying there on that table, I said, man, I think I gotta have that thing. So let's see. Okay. Even amounts of unlicensed blah blah blah. Is it not letting me do it? I don't know. We'll see. So here we're going to publish out the Dash 2 video, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, yeah, like I said, that fondest memory of it was just laying there on that zipper bag, or I opened that zipper bag and taking a look at it, and I just said, my gosh, look at how gorgeous that thing is. I've got to have it. And like I said, I've always been afraid because I didn't want to, I was always afraid of that price, because I was pretty sure that price was going to be pretty high. But it was kind of amazing because, like I said, we've been talking about the high powers for a couple of months, and here I go off to the show, the G show, we'll call it. I think everybody knows what that is. I went there to help a friend of mine. I went there to help a veteran, and he needed some help, so I went and helped him. He's a good dude, older guy, he's a veteran and everything, so I went to go help him. And sitting there, and like I said, I saw it there, like right when I walked into this place, I saw it. Like I turned to the left to go out there to find my buddy, and I saw it right there on the table, and I just told myself, why? And I didn't even bring money to this show. I didn't. I wasn't intending on buying anything or looking to purchase anything. I wasn't. It just popped up, and there it was. And it said, Batjack, look over here. And I just couldn't help myself. There it was laying on the table. So I just, man, I just didn't, so I sat there and looked over at it too. And I even went right over there, and I even asked the guy, I said, can I check it out, hold it? And I did. I held it in my hands, and I just immediately fell in love, and I started thinking about it, and I even got the guy's card, and and he even told me, he said he'd be up at the next show, and the next one coming up, and actually it's going to come up in about a week here, or about 8 days or so. And I just, I just couldn't. I got his card anyway, and I went back to. I finally went and sat down with my buddy, and I started sitting there, and I'm just stewing about it, just thinking, man, what am I doing here? And I couldn't let it go. I just couldn't let it go. I started to really think about it. I started to actually look around and start asking some people that have, been there, hey, where's the nearest, bank? Or, so, oh yeah, the bank's over here. And I'm starting to think about that bank, and, I'm like, I wonder if I should jump into that bank and go get some money. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if I should do that. I don't know, So, anyway, so I'm sitting there, and lunchtime rolls around, and I know this is Saturday. The banks are going to close. They're going to close at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I know I'm running out of time here. And I said I look over at my buddy, and I said, you know what? I got to go to the bank and get some money. And he looked at me, and he said, you really want that thing, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. I just, I got to have this thing. So he goes, oh, yeah, go ahead. Go to the bank. I'll be all right. So I said, all right. So I left. I went to the bank, and I withdrew the cash. I came back and sat back at the table, and I was kind of stewing about it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I was getting cold feet, honestly. I had the cash, and I was getting cold feet. I'm like, yeah, the thing was, I was afraid that what I was going to offer him wasn't going to be enough. And so I'm like, so I remember, the guy I'm there helping, his friend was there, and this is another older guy, and he had a shop back in the day, and he used to do it. And these two guys that I met out there, my buddy, and then this is his friend. I think the guy's name is Dennis. I was talking to him. And I said, do you got any tips for me about, perhaps if I'm gonna go over there and talk to this guy and try to pick this thing up from him, you got any tips for me or advice? And his advice to me was this, and it was kind of interesting to, like I said, to get a different point of view at these things, because normally I'm on the other side of the counter, as they say. He said, yeah, he goes, I'll tell you one thing. He's like, I can tell you as a seller here, the one thing I hate is somebody will walk up and say, well, how much will you take for it? And, that's just the way they start off the conversation. And, no money, no nothing. He goes, and I just tell him, he's like, that for me as a seller, he goes, that really gets under my skin, and I don't like it. And so I took that I kind of took that as, some advice there, about how to go about this. So I said, oh, okay, all right. So they don't really care for that. So I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking about it. So he said, he tells me, he goes, one last thing. He says, you know what, if you're serious about it, he goes, throw some money on the table first. It lets the guy know you're serious. I said, yeah, that's a good idea. And, of course, one thing I learned from my good buddy T over there in Tennessee, he always told me, he says, you put some cash in somebody's hand, they don't ever want to hand it back to you. And that has been true to a lot, because I've done that, and I've used that many times. I've walked over and I've handed that person cash, and the minute they touch the money, it's pretty much done. So this one here, I'm going over there, and I walk up to this guy, and he's an old dude, and I kind of figure, man, this guy's seasoned like a cast iron skillet that's been around for 100 years. So I walk over to him, and I'm shooting the bull with him, and I talk to him a little bit. And that's one thing, talk to him a little bit, get to know him, introduce yourself, shake hands. And I made him the offer, laid out the cash right there on the table, made that offer, and he looked at it, picked it up, collected them, counted it, handed it back to me. He said, that's a nice deposit, but I have to decline. I couldn't believe it. Never had that happen to me. Never had the guy hand it back. So I threw one more bill out there, another C-note, threw it out there. Well, he declined that too. So I walked away because that was all I had. So I went back and sat down and told my buddy, I said, hey, he turned it down, I couldn't believe it. I was kind of in awe. I mean, that's all the money I brought. Took out from the bank. Yeah, why I didn't take out all of it that I should have done, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm just not thinking. So I'm sitting there, and there's an ATM in this place. And I'm really thinking about it now. So I'm $200 away, $250 to be exact. And I'm thinking about this. So I go, you know what? All right. I walk over to this ATM. I figure, you know what, I'm going to go withdraw $200, because that's all that's all you can withdraw out of this machine. Withdraw $200. Now I have, basically what the guy's asking for minus $50. And I think to myself, you know what, let me go get something to eat, and then we'll, really, have at this, go at this a different way. So I go over there, and I order a hot dog from this bin, this little snack bar they have out there. And so I get the snack bar. I'm sitting there, and I get the hot dog, and she says, oh, you got to pay in cash. And so I said, okay. So I hand her a 20, and I pay in cash. Now, if I would have known that, I would have, I don't, yeah, I cash it. But so I paid it. And so I'm sitting there eating my hot dog, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it, and I go back and I'm sitting down, and the hot dog is $4. So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go to the bathroom now and relieve myself of this Coca-Cola that I drank. And I count my money. And now I'm $4 short of where I was. So now I'm $54 off from where he was asking. So I went back, and I finally got the nerve to do this. And I'm like almost thinking I'm going to go over there and ask him. But I know that this is what's going to happen. If I go over there and I offer this fella another price, and I'm at this point nickel and diming this deal to death. This is going to be the third time I'm going to go over to this dude. And I'm thinking, if I strike out, I mean, this could be an insult. So I'm starting to think, and I'm like, you know what? I just messed myself up with this hot dog. I screwed myself up with this $4 hot dog. So I scramble up that whatever remains of the 20 that I had. That's $16. And I look over at my buddy and I said, will you do me a favor? If I gave you this 16, will you spot me the $4 and give me a 20? And he did. And so I get the nerve, and he says, you're going back there, aren't you? And now, mind you, he went and bought something he'd been looking for, for a long time. He went and scored it, and I got jealous. It was like that, me saying, well, no, he got something, I got to get something. So I'm sitting there now, and I'm thinking at this, I'm like going, okay, I'm about to go and face this guy one more time here. This is my last shot. I got to go all in. I got to push all my chips forward that I have, because this is it. And I kind of felt it too. I'm like, I'm going to kick myself the whole way home if I don't attempt to do this. I walk over to that guy. I sit down, and I said, hey, you still got that T-Series? He says, yeah, it's still right here. And I said, all right, this is what I have. I got this much, because that's all the ATM will let me take out. And I can't get the rest of it, and I'm 50 short. Will you take this? He looked at me, and he said, come over here and sit down next to me. So I walked over behind the table to sit down next to him. I didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't say yes, so I don't know. He looked over at me, he says, you really know what you want, don't you? And I said, well, yeah. And I said, that's a T-Series, high power, with that beautiful bluing. It's a 68 model. It's one I don't have. Handed me the 4473, which is the federal form, ran my background check and sealed the deal and shook the man's hand, and that was it. I walked home with it. I knew it right there. I was happy. And still, all the way to this right now, even the time of this recording, I do not have buyer's remorse. That is one piece that I knew I had to step up to the plate. I knew I had to do whatever it took to get the ball rolling on that, and that's what I did. I bought it, and with the advice and people that I was talking to right there at the show with me, and how it was told to me, hey, sometimes when you want something, you really have to just pay it and get it. Sometimes you just got to do that. You really do. And things kind of worked out for me too, because the following weekend, one of my things that I had on consignment at the shop sold, so I got a nice chunk of cash back from that. So in the end, that piece cost me even less. So that's pretty much how that went down. And I always find it's an interesting way. And I've never had a deal like that. Never had one like that. So, as if I can leave you with something of the parting words on this chat here, is it's true as to what they say. Sometimes you really just got to pay the price. You really do. Sometimes you just got to step up and pay that price. Because if it's something you really want, you might need to just step up to that plate and take it. Because you're going to either kick yourself that you didn't do it, or you may not find another one. That's true. There you go. I'm Batjack JW. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it, you guys. Like, share, and subscribe.